most important thing for any winemaker, it doesn't matter where they are in the world, is to start with the best quality fruit they can. And in our case, it's part of it is growing the best quality fruit we can. And here in Wisconsin, because of our climate, sometimes that can be difficult. And at the start of the season where we are right now, which is the latter part of February, the first thing I have to do before I start pruning is to kind of assess the health of the vineyard. In other words, I want to know how much or how little damage winter has done. By nature, grapevines are not real cold hardy. Here in Wisconsin, we grow varieties that kind of circumvent the climate issues we have here. But no matter what you plant, to some extent you get some winter damage. And every spring I have to kind of figure out how much there is, because it's going to determine how I prune the vineyard. And there's a very simple way to do this. And what I do is what's called a bud survey. And I'll go through each section of the vineyard prior to pruning it. And what I do, quite simply, is I cut some canes off that are basically in what I anticipate to be the pruning area, and I'll randomly kind of go through this whole section and cut these off. And once I cut them off, what I'll do is take a razor blade very carefully, and I'll start cutting open the buds that are on the cane. In this particular cane, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 buds to cut open. And what I'm interested in knowing is the health of the primary bud. There's actually 3 buds inside each single bud. And the one that I'm concerned about is the primary bud, because that's the one that's going to produce my fruit. The other 2, the secondary and tertiary buds, are primarily survival buds. If the primary bud has been burned as a result of winter cold, those will come out and keep the vine healthy and get it through the growing season. But in terms of producing fruit, they're kind of useless, honestly, for all intents and purposes. They will produce some fruit, but not very much, and they come out too late in the season for them to be any good. So what I'll do is do that and check the primary bud, and what I'm looking for is a nice bright green healthy primary bud. And in the case of this particular section, it all looks really good. Also, when I'm cutting canes, I'm also looking to make sure that what I'm cutting is green cane. That kind of also is a good indicator that things are going to look good when I start cutting open buds. Hello, Izzy. There you go. That's yours now. So that's how I do that, and I usually will cut open 100 buds so I can get a rough percentage of how healthy the vineyard is in any particular given section. I get a percentage. So, 70% of the buds are alive versus 80% or 50% depending on the winter. I know how to prune accordingly after